Welcome everyone to Thoughts from the Roundtable.
How y'all doing tonight?
I'm well.
Me too.
It's dark out because we're recording this a frog hair late. This is the night before this is going to come out.
We don't need to tell
No,
them
it's okay.
that.
We can face the shame that no one listens.
Listen, guys, we're stuck in Jacob's bedroom, breathing in his rank ass fart,
True.
and about ready to record you, probably the best podcast we've ever done.
I don't know about that.
It's gonna be over one of the most interesting movies we've ever watched.
I have a lot to say about it. Not really.
Yeah.
I have a little bit though.
This movie kind of is fine. We're gonna be talking about The Dig today, so sit back, grab a can of
LaCroix.
or gummy worms, and
No one does that.
What do you mean?
Let's just start the show.
Okay.
So The Dig is a Netflix original. It's got Ralph Fiennes, or however you say his name. He was Voldemort. That's where everyone knows him from. He's also in the new Kingsman movie that may never come out. Who knows? It's about an architect.
No.
Archaeologist.
No.
Archaeological. How do
It's
you...
about an archaeologist.
That's the word. There's the Dig.
That was. It's about a digger, one might say.
That was an embarrassing. That was embarrassing. It's been a while since we watched this movie.
Yeah. And can I level with you?
Yeah.
I didn't read a single thing about it.
Me either. I have yet to look. Usually, now I know this might surprise some of you. I try and read 1 to 2 reviews on movies that we do for this podcast. I got nothing on this movie. I mean, nothing. I watched the movie, and that was it.
I was going to read a review, but then I thought that might really kind of muddy my own opinion on the movie before I give it. And so I really, this movie, listen guys, I want to be totally frank with you. This movie pissed me off to an extreme level, and I don't want to see anybody defending it because it might change my mind, and right now I'm pretty steadfast in my conviction.
Yeah, let's talk about what's bad with this movie first, because contrary to popular belief, negative news sells more.
Oh, well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, people are always like, oh, why can't we see more good stories in the news? I'll tell you why, because they don't get any clicks. You know what it does? Bad ones. Look at murder documentaries. I would say murder's usually not good, but murder documentaries, they get a lot of views by this douchebag sitting in front of me.
You know, it's a cross I must bear.
Just real quick before we get to the movie.
Yeah, okay.
Just speaking of murder docs,
Mm-hmm.
I watched Night Stalker. It was really good. I don't watch that many murder documentaries, but people were like, watch it. Everyone's like, watch it. So I did. It was pretty good. That's all I have to say.
All right. So like Jacob was mentioning, earlier, negative news sells, and nothing's more negative than the point I'm about to make, and that's that love sucks. It's dead, and it's not real. That's most of that is a lie.
This is a really hot take.
In this movie, I sound really down bad right now. I'm not down bad, guys.
He's down bad.
I promise. This movie has a love plot. It has a plot of love between two characters that I could give zero, and I mean zero, shits about. This love plot took up a good chunk of the movie. It didn't need to be there. I want to spend a lot of time today, and later in the podcast, because I do want to give a brief overview, in case you're confused. But I want to spend a lot of time on talking right to you, directors. All you directors, because I know that there are a lot of you listening right now. And it's called Unnecessary Love, a tale of two Pierces and a Jacob.
I'm confused. Get on with your story.
Get on with my story.
You said you were going to tell a story to directors.
I'm really tired.
I'm also tired. Maybe you didn't say that. Do you ever have that where people say something and you just interpret another thing?
I think I might have said it, but I know what you're talking about. Sometimes you're talking and I choose to think of something else because I'm far more interested in something else in my mind than you.
Yeah, no, this happens to me all the time in sermons, like at church.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. I like to usually daydream, usually about like Joel Osteen.
Who doesn't daydream?
I
about
date.
Joel Osteen?
That came out bad. That came out really bad.
He's really hunky.
I had this daydream where I wrote a book about Joel Osteen. It was pretty cool. It was a good book.
I'm sure Joel liked it.
He didn't. It was anti-Joel.
But what?
You were gonna say something to directors
Oh,
about
yeah.
love.
Yeah, well,
by
that's
T. Pearson.
later in the line. I want to talk. Let's do a plot summary. We have Voldemort.
Yeah,
Voldemort in this movie is not an evil dark wizard.
he's the best guy.
Yeah, which is a real sharp juxtaposition to Voldemort in the popular films Harry Potter.
Evil's a point of view. I disagree. Voldemort's in the right.
All right. So, anyways, Voldemort decides to give up torturing young wizard boys and instead dig holes. And in in this movie, that's exactly what he does. We're introduced to a character, Miss Pretty.
Dumb name.
Dumb name. I was just about to say that.
She's dead
Well, shit.
in real life.
Yeah. So this movie's Jacob was trying to say this movie was based off a true story.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Pretty was a real character, so you can't fault the directors for choosing a stupid ass name. You have to fault, I don't know, God.
For some reason, I have a feeling that this podcast is going to take a turn, and it's not going to be that much about the dick.
What are you gonna do? You know they can't all be winners. So, anyways, Miss Pretty is dead. She died of a disease. I think.
I don't know what
Cancer.
it is.
I think cancer.
That's what my guess is.
Cancer's a bitch. It takes a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sad. She has a son in this movie. It's Boy Pretty. I'm not sure what his name actually is. I don't remember.
I don't either.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
But anyways, she's living on this old land, and she's like, well, there's a lot of big humps on my land. Wonder if there was anything buried, like treasure. And so she goes up to Voldemort, and Voldemort says, well, I'm a pretty busy guy. You know, you're going to have to pay me quite a bit. I make a lot of money being a wizard. And so she says, you know what, deal's a deal. You know, the economy and all that shit. And so she pays him, and he digs the hole. She was right. There's a big boat under there. And it's, what was it?
A tomb.
A tomb, but he was really adamant about some time period.
Old England.
Old England, was it Anglo-Saxon?
Yeah, they thought it was Norse, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was Anglo-Saxon.
This, by the way, takes place during World War II.
Yeah.
Or right before. I don't know if we mentioned that.
The guy who plays Voldemort, like, gave up literally... He played Voldemort. Jacob talked about this during the movie. He played Voldemort to get a bunch of money, and then he just does solely World War II era movies.
I feel like we see actors do like their money maker, and then like, actually, I'm just gonna try to do some stuff I want to do. Like Oscar Isaac, he's in a couple like artsy movies, but he's like also in Star Wars, and he's gonna be that new Disney Plus Marvel show. But he's like, I'm just doing that for the bag, but I actually just want to make stuff for me, which I respect.
Yeah, I feel like a certain point in an actor's life, you just kind of decide, I'm done, like, taking, like, roles that I'm not totally into.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be myself on screen. I think we've seen a lot of really prominent actors become that. Liam Neeson.
Art used to be an art guy.
Yeah.
Like, we see this all the time. I don't know. Joaquin Phoenix also kind of walks the line. Mm-hmm. Where, like, Joker, even though he was good in it, I'm not trying to say that he wasn't. But, like, that is a cash machine. But he's also in some weird stuff. Scarlett Johansson's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of actors like it. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I really respect it. But really, the whole point of this movie, getting back to it, just to finish the plot here, there's not a lot here. Everyone hates this guy because I guess he didn't get a degree. Voldemort didn't get a degree because he was too busy fucking, I don't know, being a wizard.
Tried to kill Harry Potter.
Yeah, so everyone's like, you can't be an archaeologist. You don't have a degree. This belongs in a museum.
Very anti-college movie.
Yeah, true. But Voldemort perseveres, and Miss Pretty's like, I don't know, museum guys. I think I want this guy digging up my backyard. And then she dies, and her son is really brave about it, and it's actually really a beautiful scene until it's ruined, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But that's basically the movie. Do you have anything to add?
No.
Clarify?
Yeah, this movie basically, like, you could boil down the themes as anti-school and anti-museum.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Like, I don't know. I guess the movie itself is, like, about love, maybe. But, like, it actually ends up just being, like, hey, you don't have to go to school to be smart.
Which, like, is true. They're not wrong,
No, it's just weird.
but, like, odd.
Yeah.
And, like, the anti-museum one really kind of, like, weirds me out.
They were like, this is the hill I will die on. Museums are evil.
And, like, you know, they're talking about the British Museum, which is pretty unapologetically evil. You know, that's a pretty awesome museum. Great museum, pretty shitty. They just stole everything.
Yeah.
You know, fun story. I stream on Twitch, right? And today somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to collab? And he's British. And I said, sure. And we were, you know, just chewing the fat, talking on Discord. And he brought up that Ruffles, the American-made, you know, USA home soil chip,
Love Ruffles.
God, they're great, stole the idea from a British chip, right? And of
Disagree.
course, being the Hoosier, and not just Hoosier, but American that I am, I was forced to defend my home soil, you know?
Yeah, and you called it fake news.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, show me sources, you know?
That's exactly what I did. And you know what he did? He tried to show me sources. But alas, I was right. It was fake news. And so while I was proceeding to shout USA, 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 he was in the corner crying. And I
As
said,
it should be. What has Britain done that's better than the United States?
nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Nothing. I want to see them try to send a man to the moon.
Yeah, they couldn't do it if they tried.
Dude, JFK, bless up, man. Anyways, there was a
RIP.
point to this story. And it was about the British Museum. And I said, just like everything in the British Museum, they stole Ruffles too. And that was the joke. This was a really awful segue for not a great joke.
It was funny, though. I
Yeah,
mean, if
you had to
think
be there.
that's funny. Yeah.
You know, she goes to a different school.
That was funny. Let's talk about what we disliked.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Let's get the cat out of the bag and talk about the thing that ruined the movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind slow movies. I actually don't, contrary to popular belief. We watched a slow movie recently called Land. I actually didn't mind how slow it was.
No, I actually think it enhanced the movie.
Yeah, I also like the same with like The Silence. You don't actually have to talk a lot and still tell a story. That was one of those movies. There wasn't a lot of talking for like 45 minutes, and I followed it. It's not hard. But this movie had the worst ending, and the ending did not feel earned. I don't think they built the characters enough. The specific scene, let's give a little, if you haven't seen it, there are these two, we got Voldemort. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. We have Voldemort, the Miss Pretty, and her son, and she's getting ready to die. And he essentially gives her permission to die. As weird as that sounds.
It is like actually one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a long time.
It was so well done. If you didn't have a little bit of a tear in your eye, I think if they would have ended the movie there.
Yeah, because I think that's something we don't get to see a lot. Like when they're, you know, we're so often in movies. You talked about this earlier. You know, it's bad news sells.
Yeah.
We're so often in a state of like, you know, children in movies having awful relationships with their parents. And like, here's a movie trope. My parent died of cancer and I didn't care now, but now I feel bad later in life.
Mhm.
You know, that I didn't get to spend enough time. This was like the opposite of that. And I don't get to see that very much. It was a good mother who was like genuinely scared to leave her young son alone in this world.
Mhm.
And the son then giving her permission to go on, telling her that it would be okay.
And he gives her like this because his dad's dead, and he gives her like this parable, like about this king of the stars, and he like needs her queen with him.
It's
And
beautiful.
so, yeah, it was really good.
I literally was crying.
It was really good. It was, I think, the best thing the movie did. The lead up to it was fine, and you got us to care about Voldemort, him and the mom. But where you lost me is the side plot that came after it that ended.
Yeah. So, you know how we talked about earlier that this movie was very anti-museum? Well, they introduced what would you call that? A posse, perhaps. A posse, a gaggle of museum workers that came to work. And one of the museum workers was gay, I guess. I think
two of them were because they were together.
Yeah, two were gay. One of the gay boys had a woman wife. A little awkward.
Yeah. Pretty normal for the time, though.
Yeah. So woman wife was, you know what? Let's just say it how it is. She was really horny. And he won't have sex with her because, you know, for obvious reasons, not attracted to women being the primary one.
Yeah.
And so, who does she fall in love with?
The Miss Pretty's nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And they fall in love, but like it's a forbidden love, and he's going off to the war until the end. He comes back, and they breed outside after the touching scene of the kid.
During it. It was interspliced.
Yeah, it was awful.
And we're just sitting there like, what?
I actually don't understand his vision there. I shouldn't say usually, I almost always give directors benefit of the doubt. It's their artistic vision. Everything's done for a reason. I didn't see it with this one. I don't know. This felt like one of the higher ups above the director was like, we need sex in this movie bad.
It's like one of those like old-timey Hollywood directors. He's like smoking a cigar. It's like,
that's not how you hold a cigar.
What?
That's not how you hold a cigar.
Fine, let me, all right, scene. He's got his cigar in his hand. He's like, listen, sex sells, and this movie's got a whole lot of man and not a lot of female body,
Yeah.
And so he was like, you got to do this. Here's what I don't understand, and I want to just actually call out directors right now. What is your fascination? As just a genuinely curious person, what's your fascination with having sex on, like, the dirt?
I don't know.
Is it like, does it get you going? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Because, like, I've been seeing it more and more. Just, like, stripping off and, like, getting grody in the dirt. Ew.
Don't do that.
Don't do it don't go outside.
Do it in your home like a normal person. I do want to bring up this point about sex in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had this conversation with many people. And I don't think we've had it on this podcast. And this is... Excuse me. You're going to have to cut that burp out.
Like that one?
Yeah. And this is like a thing I've thought about a lot. And my opinion of it has changed over time. And as I become more mature in a way and tend to enjoy the art of movies more, not just that I can watch a movie. I enjoy the art of it, all the passion it takes behind it. I think that if you want to include sex and it adds to the story, you should absolutely do it. Perfect example. For those of you who don't know, Pierce and I are watching Game of Thrones right now. It's excellent. I'm sorry for not watching it sooner. Those of you who have seen it, it's great. It's great. It's great. lots of sex in that show. Almost none of it doesn't seem... Okay, almost none of it seems forced. It all seems to either add to the character or add to the story or show you different relationships and different dynamics. And the same thing, I just got done watching The Sopranos. The same thing with that, except with the word F. Fuck. They said it over and over again. And it's not because they just wanted to say it for fun. It's because it added to the story. Directors, you don't listen to this podcast. Why would you? We're two people in a bedroom. But if you were listening, don't add stuff that doesn't need to be added and doesn't add to the story. It's annoying. Stop it.
It's like filler words in essays, you know, like those words that you put in there to buff your word count up.
Yeah.
I think concise is key. That's what I've always been told when it comes to writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I've always thought when it comes to movies. A movie doesn't need to be long for the sake of being long.
Exactly.
That's why we have so many problems with pacing and so many problems with, well, why was this in there? You know, because really, I'm reading this book right now for my film class, and it's like how to make video that doesn't suck.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the awesome points that was talked in there is that each moment, like you're watching a screen, a director is fighting for your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it is an investment. If you aren't getting a return on investment, you turn onto something else. It's why you open your phone. It's why you get up. It's why you go make food. Why you turn off the movie. Why you turn something else on. Your time is valuable. Our time is valuable as a viewer. So if we're not getting something out of the movie, you turn it off.
Mm-hmm.
So for a director, you don't put things that don't add to the story, because that's just a chance for someone to turn it off. You know, if it doesn't add, don't put it in. And I think this is one of those examples of why did you even need a B plot in this movie?
You didn't.
There was so much going on with the A plot that you really didn't need to throw in a half-baked romance story about a horny girl and I guess just a man who likes to take advantage of women at their weakest.
Right.
Because it wasn't like hot either. Not hot in that way. But like it wasn't like a steamy love, like, oh my God, I
It's
love
secretive.
you so much, blah, blah, blah. It was just like she is ridiculously in a bad spot of being married to a gay person, you know? And as a woman, that would pretty much suck, you know? It's why it's awesome that that's no longer a thing usually.
Yeah.
Because it's not good for any party involved. And she's just at like her emotionally weakest, and then this guy comes in and is like, yo, I got a penis. It's not good. It's not good morals. It's not a good message. It's just gross.
It added nothing to this, nothing whatsoever. You know what you could have done instead of showing them having sex is showing them kissing. If that's what you wanted to do, that's fine. It just felt so forced. Like someone was like, listen, this movie's good and all, but you know what sells? Sex. So why don't you throw it in there? That's stupid.
And I've been seeing a lot of movies do this recently because I think sex is becoming such a, like, non-niche. Niche isn't the right word.
It's becoming more acceptable to have it in movies.
In anything.
Yeah.
And nudity especially. This one didn't have nudity. Well, it had partial, but
Yeah.
it didn't have full nudity. But I see nudity in almost everything I watch now.
Yeah.
And so it's just our society is becoming more and more fine with it, which, you know, is a side effect of having porn readily available for anyone for free, starting at a ridiculously unhealthy young age.
Yeah.
The little thing I like to call the internet.
Yeah.
So people are desensitized.
Right.
Which some would argue is good, some would argue bad. I would argue that it leads to some very pointless addition into film.
Yeah. That's where it really affects us, is when it comes to movies. And once you start messing with movies, I got a problem.
We gotta throw down, you know.
We got to tussle.
We gotta naked wrestle.
Yeah. So now that we've ranted about how trash the ending was and some other stuff, let's talk about what I liked and what you liked. One thing I liked was the score. I think it was actually really pretty. Anything with piano and string instruments, just great. Not only that, I'm a big fan of romanticizing outside, and this movie did that. It had some very pretty shots of them on the hill looking toward the forest, of them playing in the dirt, of it raining. I'm a sucker for it, and you did a good job. Also, Ralph Fiennes' role, his little acting job, really good. He was probably the best part of this movie.
I would definitely agree with that. I know we've already mentioned that the ending, besides the addition of the pointless on-the-ground sex scene, was really good. I thought that message was absolutely wonderful, and I could not say I don't think. Well, unless they take off the sex from that, I don't think it could have been executed any better.
Me either. This movie for me was an easy 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Until the sex scene, which drops it to like a 2 out of 5, maybe a 2.5 out of 5. That really pissed me off. It was so unneeded. I know we just talked about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It did really. This movie was very good, and I don't think you'll understand until you watch it how into it you're gonna be until that rips you out and just pisses you off. Because I'm sure that's done that to people before.
Yeah.
If you're a normal person, that's probably done that to you before.
Yeah.
But another thing I really liked was just you know what, here I'm ready to say it. I'm a sucker for period pieces. I'm built different. So, you know, as someone who's
You're not
certified born in the wrong generation, I like to take a little bit of a trip in my little backyard time machine to different time periods. I thought this time period was really cool. I thought it was done really well. Thought the sets were good. Just the way it shot felt old, which
it was never really sunny,
No.
except for the opening scene. It was always almost always gloomy, which adds to like the England of it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, England is a certified shithole, and so it doesn't. The sun never really smiles on that country, on that godforsaken rock. You know what I really liked about this movie, though, for real, and I think this is gonna be my last point about this movie. I think this is an underused detail. There was a kid, and he was so sad that Voldemort left. You know, Miss Pretty's son was so bummed that Voldemort left, he decided to just bike all the way to Voldemort's house.
He didn't even take platform 9 3/4.
Shut up. Anyways, what I liked about this scene is when he arrived, he was really tuckered out. I was like, wow, you know, I wouldn't, I bet he would have been tuckered out. It was a long ride. I don't know why that really just impressed me.
I think it's because usually like a bad movie, like when you think of Netflix movies, you would be like, oh, he just biked 10 miles and he's fine. He's fine. But like it actually did add to the detail. Like that was actually a good detail. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I don't know why that stuck out. But
he was just really tired when he got off that bicycle, and then they all rushed out and they were like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just bicycled here." And then they gave him like food and water, and I don't know why. This, even recounting it, I'm getting chills. It was so cool. That's what people would do in the real world. If, you know, like a kid biked your house, you'd be like, holy shit, are you good? And he'd be like, yeah, I'm just a kid. I can do this kind of stuff. I know you're old and you can't anymore, but I can. I'm just tired because it was a long ride. And you'd be like, oh, well, can I at least get you some food and water?
You need to go to bed. Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Our next podcast is going to be the Planet of the Apes series, the newest ones, with James Franco and Cesar Millan, the cat guy.
Who?
Cesar Millan? Yeah, he's like the My Cat from Hell guy.
I don't think he's in this movie.
Oh, I'm thinking of someone else.
Anyways, that podcast is going to be probably pretty long.
Yeah.
We got 3 movies to cover.
Yeah, we decided to do it as like a team.
Yeah.
A trilogy of movies, you could say.
A trilogy of films.
Of cinema?
Of
There's actually a lot. There's actually a lot to talk about those movies. It's really science fiction-y, and I want to get into some moral issues that it raises. Some interesting thought. It's a thought. As weird as it sounds, they're thought-provoking movies.
They are, and what's great about them is just at the same time they're thought-provoking, they're also, on the other hand, unapologetically stupid.
Though, I think the word you're looking for is unapologetically monkey. They are monkey movies, so you know we're all in.
We're all in. I've got a lot of theories to bring up. You're gonna want to be there for that one if you're here for this one.
But our analytics show you're probably not here.
You know, not a lot of people make it this far. So if you have made it this far, good God. If you have made it this far, why don't you rate us on Apple Podcasts? You might be saying, Pierce, Jacob, I would, but I don't have an Apple product.
Borrow friends.
There's a lot of Apple. Go to the fucking Best Buy. I don't know.
Yeah, go buy an iPhone.
It's not hard work to rate us.
Can't you just... How about this? Instead of rating us on Apple Podcasts, just give us $400.
Yeah,
that's the cheapest iPhone. That's why I said that.
Well, I get it, and I like it. So, yeah, you've got two options if you're listening. Rate us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a nice little message. Or Venmo us $400.
Or Cash App.
Cash App works, too. You know, if that's the option you want to take, like, I get it. Just reach out. We got Twitters. We got Instagrams. We got, I don't know, Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
We don't have... We have, Google Plus. Do you remember when that was a service?
Yeah, we got G Plus one Wednesday.
Let's see what we have.
I've got a phone, but you can look me up in the yellow pages.
You can hit us up on Amazon Marketplace reviews. I don't know.
There's a lot of, you know what you could do? You could leave a review with a message that says, "Hey, I don't want to leave a review, guys. I'd like to instead send you 400 big ones."
No, actually, instead of the 400 big ones, I have a better gift idea.
Mm-hmm.
You send us a Joel Osteen cube, inspiration cube. That's what we've really been wanting. If you want to send us one, hit us up. We'll give you an address to send it to.
Speaking of Joel Osteen and his cubes, what do you guys think about a merch option where it's just a cube, but you press it and it's just our voices saying something like funny? It's like, oh, you're sad? Press the thoughts from the round table cube, and then I'll go, bazinga.
I hate that.
Or like,
we gotta go to bed.
Like,
Bye, everyone.
bazinga.